Strange but true stories. Tales from the light side, the dark side, and the other side. I'm Steve White. Bigfoot Encounters from Around the World. 1902, Chesterfield, Idaho. A group of people enjoying a winter's day skating were suddenly terrorized by a hairy monster brandishing a wooden club. The witnesses said the creature stood about 8 feet tall. Later, four-toed footprints were found that measured 22 inches long and 7 inches wide. Bigfoot, indeed. No one was injured in the attack. 1912, New South Wales, Australia. A surveyor named Charles Harper was camping with several colleagues on Kurrukabilly Mountain. One evening, as the men sat around their campfire, they became increasingly unnerved by the strange sounds they heard coming from the woods. To help allay their fears, they piled more wood on their fire. The increased light revealed that something unexpected had invaded their camp. A huge, man-like animal stood erect not 20 yards from the fire, growling, Harper later told a newspaper, and thumping his breast with his huge hand-like paws. Harper estimated that the creature stood about 5'8" to 5'10", and was covered with long brownish-red hair, which shook with every quivering movement of his body. To say the least, the men were terrified. One even fainted. For several minutes, the creature continued to growl and make threatening gestures at the men, then turned and disappeared back into the forest. 1924, Vancouver, British Columbia. Albert Ostman is one of the few people who claim to have been abducted by Sasquatch. It happened while he was searching for a lost gold mine that he heard existed somewhere near Toba Inlet. He had heard from an Indian guide about the legendary Sasquatch, but didn't take them seriously until he discovered that something was stealing food from his campsite at night. Then one night he was awakened by something picking him up in his sleeping bag. "I was half asleep and at first did not remember where I was," Ostman said. "My first thought was, it must be a snowslide. Then it felt like I was tossed on horseback, but I could feel whoever it was walking." After hours of being carried, Ostman was finally dropped to the ground where he heard a strange-sounding chatter. It wasn't until dawn, however, that Ostman made his way out of his sleeping bag. He was astonished to find himself in the company of 4 Sasquatch, what appeared to Ostman to be a family, adult male and female, and a young male and female. He was able to provide detailed descriptions of the creatures, all of which, except for the young female, was enormous. Ostman claimed to have spent 6 days in the company of the Sasquatch family. When he decided he had enough, he fired his rifle into the air and made a run for it. 1928, Vancouver, British Columbia. A trapper named Mushala Harry also claimed to have been kidnapped by Bigfoot. The powerfully built Indian of the Nootka tribe was plying his trade in one of his favorite hunting grounds around the Kanuma River that autumn. Like Ostman, Harry was picked up in his sleep, bedding and all, and carried for about 3 miles by a large Sasquatch. When set down, he found himself surrounded by about 20 of the creatures, both male and female, which he at first thought planned to eat him, as their campsite was littered with large bones. The creatures poked and prodded Harry, seemingly puzzled by his clothing. After a while, they appeared to grow tired of the human curiosity, and many left the camp. Seeing his chance, Harry made a run for it, running right past his own camp to his canoe on the river. He never went trapping in the woods again. 1957, Zhejiang, China. On a May afternoon in the sparsely populated Chinese province, Xu Fudi heard her young daughter screaming. The girl had been tending the family's cattle, and Xu hurried to see what had happened. She was startled to see her daughter struggling futilely in the powerful arms of a young Yeti, the Asian version of Bigfoot. Xu rushed at the Yeti with a stick of wood and began to beat the creature. It tried to escape through a paddy field, but was slowed by the thick mud. More women from the village joined Xu in beating the creature to death. So terrified were they of this strange creature that they cut its carcass into pieces. Eerie cries of mourning were heard from the hills the next day. 1977, New Jersey. Now, New Jersey isn't the first place one thinks of when Sasquatch is mentioned, but this reported attack comes from a rural area of that state in the month of May. The Seitz family was disturbed by something that had broken into their barn and crushed several of their rabbits to death. The predator returned that night, and the Sights saw it clearly standing in their well-lit yard. It was big and hairy, Mrs. Sights reported. It was brown. It looked like a human with a beard and mustache. It had no neck. It looked like its head was just sitting on its shoulders. And it had big, red, glowing eyes. When the Sights' dog attacked it, the creature effortlessly swatted it away, sending it flying about 20 feet. On subsequent nights, the creature was seen several more times by the Sights. This has been another strange but true story sent to us by a viewer just like you. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks to those who have. And if you have a story you would like to share with us, send it to strangebutTrueStories2@gmail.com. Thanks for watching this video. I'm Steve White. Until next time.